Hey everyone, Batel here. Welcome back to my channel. Now, happy new year. It is the first day of the number 23. Honestly, it doesn't feel like anything new. If you are on a awakening journey, then every single day is literally the exact same day in the Matrix. We are all spirits inhabiting flesh. So I really hope that for anyone who still celebrates these material world holidays, I really hope that you had a wonderful new year. I hope that you took care of yourself and decided to let go of things that don't serve you so you can really learn who you are, you guys. I also want to say thank you so very much for every single one of you who donated to me. I'm actually pretty stunned at the amount of donations that I received. I did not expect that at all. And it's really hard for me to ask for things. This is something that I just recently started doing about a year ago because, I just always do everything by myself. So thank you so much. There are so many donations that I still yet have to respond to many of you. So please do not think that I am ignoring you, that I don't see you. I have to get to everyone and thank you all individually. If you have received a message from me, hello. And for those of you, you will. Okay, this is the best. I'm very, I can't explain the gratitude that I feel, because for anybody who knows me, you know that I always been doing everything on my own. And it's really always hard for me to ask for things because it just is. So thank you so much. I really appreciate you all. Thank you so much. Thank you. I don't have any family or friends who can help me in the way that you have. So thank you so much. Now, let's start to talk about the narcissistic robotic self-image. Today I was going to talk about how the narcissist steals your identity and why you always feel like the empty version of yourself after any type of narcissistic encounter, even if it's for 1 second. But we'll get there. I had to make a drawing for that. But today, we'll talk. The narcissistic robotic image, what does that mean? Not every single narcissist looks like a sharp image, right? For example, some narcissists look sloppy. They look dirty. They don't take care of themselves, right? They are probably not so physically attractive. Or they are finally the aging narcissist who completely lost all charms and looks, and now they are what they are without the mask. But the narcissistic robotic image remains, even if they don't look sharp. So let's talk about that. For the narcissistic people who are dressed very nice, for example, if they have the latest, designer outfits, or their hair is just somehow magically perfectly done and they barely do anything to it. It is fascinating. I've seen it time and time again. The women just so happen to have the perfect nails, right? And the perfect waxed legs and the perfect Instagram images, right? And this perfect, right, quote unquote, perfect demeanor. It's incredible. But once you get out of the narcissistic illusion and you see them for what they are and you validate yourself as who you are, you see how just gross that image really is. So let's talk about that. See, when we first encounter narcissists, when we are in a romantic relationship with them, we view them as this perfect image. Like the Barbie dolls from packages. Like the perfect boss, the perfect, relationship partner. We fall in love with their charming personality, right? We think, oh my gosh, this person must be so special because everybody seems to want to speak to them. Everybody kind of, flirts with them. Everybody wants to be in their presence. Everybody, dies to be part of their life. The perfect cars, you guys. We can talk all day long about that perfect image. Now, I want to talk about that robotic image that I'm talking about. I want to really emphasize what that self-robotic image is. Let's make this clear. Me and you, we inhabit a physical body. It's called flesh. Now, within the flesh, we can either have empathy or we don't have empathy. Empathy is a person who not only feels their own emotions, right, and regulates their own emotions, understands their own emotions, validates their own emotions, learns about their emotions, but they can also empathy with external people's emotions. It's a given, okay? And it's not something that we do on purpose. It just is what it is. We have empathy. We can understand if somebody's upset, if somebody's happy, if somebody's angry. We can put ourselves in their shoes and empathize with them. Not necessarily be wallowed in their negative emotions, but we just understand. For example, if somebody's giving birth, we understand. Oh my gosh, that must be so painful for the mother. She's giving birth, right? Oh my God, a new child is born. What a miracle. We understand. Now, for people who inhabit a physical body, but they lack empathy, they have no empathy. A lot of times people don't understand what this means, and so they stay stuck in these narcissistic dynamics for way too long. Okay? You can inhibit a human flesh, can inhibit a physical body. Now, please imagine this. They have a physical body, but they completely don't have empathy, which means that they don't feel or care or experience your emotions. They don't experience your pain or happiness. They don't experience your needs if something goes wrong, if you need to communicate with them, discuss even giving birth. A narcissist cannot understand or feel or put themselves in a person's shoes who's giving birth. They see somebody giving birth and they're just like, they don't understand it. To a narcissist, giving birth is either sadistic, they enjoy watching other people's pain, or it's completely repulsive. Ugh, what is this? Ugh, right? And that's where that robotic physical form evolves. Basically, you have a physical form, but there is no empathy in that body. The only thing that's in the body, okay, hear me out, is the brain. Now, the brain the brain is basically the narcissist's way of living. It's like if you teach a narcissist math, they will learn math because it's stored in the brain. If you teach a narcissist how to drive, it will be stored in the brain. So it's like a robotic program. When a physical body does not have empathy, the only thing they operate with is the brain, not the heart, and not even the soul. See, narcissists, they have emotions, okay? This is the thing that people, mistake what I mean when I say narcissists don't have emotions. Yes, they have emotions. But they only have emotions for themselves. They cannot empathize with a single person, not even an animal. I've seen one of my ex-narcissists chasing ducks and stepping on them and kicking them to the Hudson River just so they wouldn't poop on grass that didn't even belong to him. I've seen the same narcissist release a raccoon into the street just so he can die and get hit by a car, instead of releasing the raccoon far, far away where he could be safe. Okay, understand that narcissists are stupid. Okay, I'm not even gonna sit here and feel sorry for what I'm saying. Narcissists are stupid. Only stupid people cannot empathize or understand other things in life but themselves. You have to understand how selfish, and it's not even, okay, let's keep it, let me also emphasize on this. It's not the narcissist's fault for being selfish. It's who they are. So you need to understand that you have empathy. But narcissistic people and sociopathic people, they don't. And they cannot change that. It is who they are. Who they are. It's who they are. So you can be mad at the narcissist. You can despise the narcissist. You can be so furious with the narcissist, but it doesn't make a difference. Because your feelings and what you're going through does not matter. They actually see it as a joke. To them, it is, an amusement. So now getting back to the narcissistic robotic sense of self, a lot of times when you see a narcissist, the perfect looking narcissist with the perfect hair and the perfect makeup and the perfect and the perfect and the perfect, even if they're not that attractive, the facade, you have to understand where that perfectionism is coming from. You have to understand where this robotic vision, this robotic image, this like default, wow, it's like they're a robot image is coming from. Most people see narcissistic people as perfect. If, most people who don't know who they are yet, most people who put other people on pedestals and believe that superficiality is perfect, they believe that narcissists are perfect. So that perfection comes from, and hear me out, that perfection comes from a person lacking empathy. So because a narcissist lacks empathy and they're so grandiose, right? And their demeanor, because a narcissist has no empathy, that's why their physical body moves like that. That's why, they always look and seem so perfect. It's because they have to, again, the brain is the only thing that's working. Not the heart, not the soul. So it's like they wake up every day in this robotic system, right? And they even invent their physical body so robotic-like that it is a robot. It is like a walking robot. I spoke about a series called Empty Shells, the black hole of a narcissist. And it's because they don't have a pearl. The pearl is the soul. When you have a soul, and when you have empathy, and when you have love, you can allow yourself to just relax. You don't have to be perfect. Okay, perfectionism is an illusion. Perfectionism is a man-made construct for people to walk around and be like that in the Matrix, so one person could be more superior than the other, because look at your physical body and look at the way that you're carrying yourself. You must be perfect. You must be... No. It's a man-made construct, just like plastic surgeries, just like Hollywood. It's designed to create a human into a doll. Human beings are not dolls, and human beings are not objects. Human beings have emotions. They have intuition. They have energy. They have a sense of self. What is the self? The soul. They are a spirit. Now, the narcissist is none of those things. The narcissist is a total false self. A robot with flesh. Robots look perfect, right? They look perfect. Robots don't have any emotions. Robots can't feel people's emotions. Just like the Terminator, for example. They just terminate. That's what they do. They can't feel anything. It doesn't matter. It's all about them. I have to do what I have to do. Terminate. That's what I'm here to do. We gotta dive deep here. I feel like I'm getting to you guys. So a lot of times when I talk about the narcissist as a black hole, and the narcissist, there's no pearl inside. And why do you always feel drained around the narcissist? Why do they always mimic you? Why do I talk about a mask? What is this mask? Oh, they have to put on a mask. They have to put on a mask, and then they take the mask off, and then you see them for who they are. What's the mask? Imagine a robot without any emotions or empathy. An actual robot, you guys. They inhibit flesh, and then they walk up to you and they have to mirror you. They have to mirror human emotions. And because there is nothing inside them, they don't have a pearl, which is the soul, you feel empty in their presence. You feel like you don't exist. You feel like you're being drained. You feel exhausted. It's because they're using your energy and your facial expressions in order to physically exist. If you walk away from the narcissist and you take that reflection away from them, if you walk away from a narcissist today and you turn around just to see their face for a second, let's say you walked 10 feet away from the narcissist. I dare you to turn around and look at their face. They'll still look at you, but you will see that they don't have a reflection. You will see that they don't have a personality. You will see hollowness in their face, in their eyes. Like you took the mask, your mask. You took your reflection that they need to pretend like they're human away from them, right? Now they don't have it. They don't have it, so they're like, or it could be all types of faces, okay? But the core that you will see is the hollowness in their eyes, that there's nothing there. Nothing. It's hollow, empty shell. Woohoo! Right? So let's talk about that perfectionism for a second. Actually, for a lot of seconds. I watched this pretty lame John Wayne Gacy movie on Amazon last night. It came out years ago. I don't even know what year it came out. It looks like it came out in the 80s. But that movie was so boring that I just had it like playing in the background while I was doing stuff in the house, okay? And then I walked to my MacBook just to see a scene, and there was a scene with John Wayne Gacy and his victim who was living with him. And Wayne, he had his hair perfect, he had the perfect button-up shirt, he had the belt, you know. And then you see the victim, and the victim who has empathy was like crunching and a little scruffy. You know, he was so exhausted from being in Wayne's presence and suffering this abuse, right? And it was such a perfect image in that scene alone to show you the difference between a sociopathic person without empathy and somebody who has empathy, okay? The person who has empathy doesn't need to look perfect. Clearly, in the presence of somebody who doesn't have empathy, they are suffering. So their emotions are visible. He was physically exhausted, and he wasn't trying to hide it. That's just what he was going through. Now, Gacy looked perfect, even though he was fat, very unattractive, and just mean. But his physical appearance looked like this robotic, perfect image. He did not have a care in the world. He did not have any real emotion. It was just a default, non-giving a F. It was just very, like, that's default, right? And he was ordering his victim around. And it was so perfect that it made me want to make this video, because you will see this in your workplace. When the narcissistic boss or the coworker will show up and they look perfect. And the only reason that they look perfect is because they have no empathy. So to people who are not like that at all, it looks to the human eye, wow, this must be a superior being because they're not behaving like me at all. But it's not a superior being. It's a being who's not a being at all. It's a being who just inhibits flesh and has no pearl. So they can't be human. They are something else. What is that something else? That something else, my friends, is called ego. And that's all that they are. That's it. That is it. Ego needs to control people. Ego is insecure. Ego wants to dominate everything externally. Ego is always angry. Ego is always disappointed. Ego has no love, doesn't know love. Ego is self-servant. Ego does not know how to be present, and ego always wants to be perfect. And ego is the obsessive thinking that every single narcissist inhibits. The voices in their head, woo! It will kill them eventually. But folks like you and I, who have spirit, who have a pearl, who are actually human beings because we have emotions, not only for ourselves, but for external people. That's what it is to be human. Now, when you are not a narcissist, and when you find out who the true self is, you find out what the soul is, not just the human form that you are in. What is the soul? Non-ego. You don't control people or outcomes. You have abundant love within yourself, and you can share that with people. You don't look to be perfect because it's exhausting. Perfection is an illusion. It doesn't even exist. It's superficial. Whoever created perfectionism is a narcissist. It's somebody who is so empty on the inside that they had to create a superficial image. Do you understand? Somebody who was narcissistic created perfectionism one day. They saw that they couldn't be human. They saw that they couldn't understand human emotions, and they felt so outcasted. They had to create a facade. It's called perfectionism. Oh, let me create these designer things. Oh, let me get the latest this, and oh, let me do my hair like this, and let me make sure I speak like this, and let me make sure I do all these itsy bitsy things to look better than everyone else who has these emotions, because goddamn, I don't know how to be like that. I constantly need reflections to exist. I constantly need human energy to exist. Oh, okay. You know what I'll do? I'll look like I'm beyond everyone. That way I can live through them. I can inhibit everybody else's mask. I can inhibit everybody else's personality while I don't have my own. So that's why every time somebody leaves me, I get pissed off. I get pissed off because I need their energy and reflection in order to exist. That's why I can't be alone. That's why I need to have multiple partners. That's why I need to go out into the street and chase after somebody, stalk somebody, annoy somebody, try to create a fight or a problem. I need to constantly nitpick at people in order to understand what human emotions are and put that into my vocabulary in the human brain. And because the brain remembers, why you think the narcissist does such a good job at mimicking your sentences and emails or texts or calls or in person. When you speak to them, you're like, wow, they are literally talking like me right now. Or wow, I remember telling them this and they're just like reset. It's because the brain remembers. The brain holds storage cabinets, files, images, memories. And that's all the narcissist is. So the next time you feel like going out there and seeing somebody who looks perfect, just remember that this person has to put on so many things in order to feel special and worthy and superior than others. That person is ridiculously insecure. The person with the most expensive shit, the person with the most materialistic gain is the most insecure, empty person you will ever meet. And it's because they don't have a physical, internal pearl. They don't have nothing inside. So every day they wake up to gain control, to feel superior, to buy the latest something, to feel good about themselves, to have sex with multiple partners. They can't just wake up in the morning and be human. Do you understand? They can't wake up in the morning and just be at peace and be still and just enjoy breathing. They can't do that. The mind won't shut up. Everybody else's mask is constantly talking in their head. That's why you feel so empty in the presence of a narcissist, because it's actually who they are. And in order for them to exist, they need to extract from you. And now you feel empty. The roles have reversed. So that robotic image that I was talking about, the perfect this and the perfect and the perfect and the perfect. Listen, there's nothing wrong with having luxurious things or having the perfect nails. Sometimes I still do that. Hey, it's beautiful. It feels fantastic. But if you are like that and you drain people's energy and you abuse them and you accuse them, then you're not perfect at all. You're just a robot. Okay? I know many of you, and oh my gosh, one more thing. I was just saying, I know many of you are still going through this with narcissists in your life. Not just relationship partners, but even family, okay? Even neighbors, okay? I was also talking about the narcissists who are not so attractive. And I've also been there as well, okay? Just a quick story. You know, I dated this one guy years ago, and it was very short-lived. It was only 2 months. And he was, you know, he wasn't like the best looking thing on the planet, but after our first meetup, I actually started to find him really attractive. And that was like years ago when I was a crazy codependent, when I can't lie to you guys, I always only dated narcissists. It was insane. And I know it's just kind of embarrassing to say it here on camera, but this is going to help you guys who are still going through this. If you're still looking for the narcissistic Hoover, if you're still trying to understand why this happened and if they're ever going to apologize, listen. Like I was just saying, I was always only attracted to narcissists, and what made me attracted to them, and I'm gonna admit this on camera, was that every time I looked into their eyes, it looked dangerous. I was attracted to danger. I was attracted to the crazy sex, okay? And I was never really one to really want to be in relationships because I had my own life and I was always working and just being myself, you know. I loved being alone and just getting what I wanted in that way from external people without any attachments, right? But you get to, you know, it depends like who the narcissist is. You get to grow like an attachment to them based off of the horrible way that they treat you, especially if you don't love yourself or you've never been loved, or you know, they're just so crazy, for God's sake, that, you know, when you are wounded and when you don't have value and when you don't see yourself, when you seek for external validation, and when you're stuck in this toxic dynamics with people all the time, you're just so used to receiving that it gets normal. So, you know, for example, the first date that me and this guy had, he was the same, that perfect, you know, as soon as we met, we barely, it's amazing. It's like he had so much balls to just walk straight up to me, you guys, and just make out with me in front of like the whole city. And I'm like, I'm not blushing. It's just it's insane to remember these things. It's so insane. And because he did that, I thought, wow, he's so confident. You see the stupidity? When in real life, this is not confidence. This is me being completely giving myself over to a freaking stranger. And he feels entitled to do whatever he wants. And I'm just letting him. Right? And when I say he wasn't so attractive, it was because he was an insane chain smoker. You know, his teeth weren't, you know, and it seemed like every time I saw him, I swear to everything in my life, he was always wearing like the same sweatpants. But he always like made up stories about how it was washed. His mother washed it for him, right? And he was also, working. This is just a good story. Please stay tuned for this, just so you can understand where this is going, okay? He was a doorman in Manhattan, and at the time, I saw that as like a big deal, and he had his own car, and, it's just like looking back at it, so embarrassing. Anyway, and I lived on my own, and let me just talk a little bit about that here. He lived with his mom. He worked as a doorman, okay? I lived on my own, and I was a bike messenger, so I felt like I was less than him, and I didn't have a car, so I felt like I was less than him. He had family, and I didn't, so I felt like I was less than him. You see where this is going? Also, the way he just carried himself, it was very arrogant, and it was very dominant in the sense that it was always his way and his way and his way. So eventually you feel like, wow, I guess I really don't have any worth. I guess maybe this person sees something so lacking within me that I have to work really hard to be accepted by this person, by this grandiose ass person who clearly wears the exact same freaking sweatpants and smokes like a son of a bee, right? And anyway, the devals were extreme. Our relationship, again, was only 2 months. And it was kind of like, because I was alone and because I didn't have any family, he would always take that against me and just, you know what I'm saying? And it was so painful that I would always cry. And then he will show up to my house after I bawled, and then we would have this insane sex. And it's so gross, you guys. This is OD, love bomb, trauma bond, okay? And it didn't last long because I guess I started throwing boundaries, or I started, kind of eventually I started kind of thinking about my childhood, and I was realizing how I was behaving like my mom. I was realizing how I was letting a man control me. I would have to talk to him on the phone at night after a long day of work. I would work during the day and he would work during the night, and he would force me, you guys, to talk to him on the phone. And when I would tell him I want to go to sleep, he goes, "You're going to go to sleep whenever I tell you to go to sleep." He would say, "You're going to go eat when I tell you to go eat." Stuff like that. And this is real shit, okay? This was years ago, okay? So please. Anyway, I think I started throwing, like on the second month, I started throwing, I started feeling every day, I think I would sleep for like 2 hours, and I worked 2 different jobs, and I was so exhausted. And the guy at the deli, he told me he didn't like him. My coworker at work, he would be like, "Yo, you gotta leave this guy." So there was a lot of things that were already like crumbling down. And eventually this loser, he discarded me out of nowhere, and he actually married someone in the same month, you guys, the same month, okay? And you guys will not believe, he tried to hoover me last summer, and he has a baby with this woman. Okay, he has my number, and I changed my number. My number is changed. Okay, so he tried to hoover me last year. Big mistake. Phone got hung up, you guys. And I'm just sharing this with you guys because so many people go through this, and it's so textbook, it's insane. Not every narcissist is the same, but look at this story, right? This guy comes into your life, he does whatever he wants. You obey because you feel so insecure. He leaves you, discards you for a stranger. He got married to somebody who was 10 years younger than him. They just met and they got married, you guys. And poor chick, if honestly, poor chick. And, where was I going with this? Yeah, it also didn't last because I was not even fooled by that discard. You know, we spoke on the phone after the discard and he said something that was so evil that I felt it all over my body, and I just completely got rid of him. I got rid of him so fast because I felt evil. When we were on the phone, he was like, I don't love you. I never loved you. But the way he said it, you guys, it was so real, like he meant it. And, you know, it's not like we love each other or anything, but he just needed to say that, basically to tell me that, to fuck off, you know? And it's just so gross. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm just sharing with this because y'all gotta wake up from this narcissistic bullshit, okay? These people are not perfect. And the reason that I also mentioned this story was because, again, I said that he wasn't so attractive. He wasn't like, you know, the sex was bomb, but he wasn't, you know what I'm saying? He was like not the catch of the year. And then eventually I started to think that he was very attractive. I started to think that he, you know, oh my gosh, it doesn't matter if he's wearing these sweatpants all the time, you know? It's disgusting. The fact that they have no empathy, the fact that they cannot relate to you like a human being makes you behave like that, because this is not normal behavior. These people, because they have no empathy, they make you feel like there's something wrong with you, like you're supposed to be just as tough or emotionless or careless as they do, because if you were to be like them, then maybe they would not have discarded you. When actually, they keep a harem garage, okay? And once they discard you, they will go to that harem and either be with the new narcissistic supply, you know, or they'll marry them. You know, he married an 18-year-old girl, you guys, a girl who is clueless, a young girl who needs to go on with her life and figure herself out. Okay? This was a really long video and it was not intended, but understand the core of this message was the reason that they have the self-robotic image is because they are robots with no empathy. So if you're home waiting for a Hoover, you are waiting for someone who mirrored your personality the whole time. You're waiting for some abuser to regulate your emotions, to make it okay. You're waiting for an abuser to tell you that you're a good person. You're waiting for an abuser to tell you that, hey, I'm back. Let's sleep together again. Let's make out again. Let's talk again. Hey, I'm back. Work extra hard for now to get my attention again. The reason that you're waiting for a narcissistic Hoover is because there is no closure with these people. They leave you just the way that they came. Empty, dry. So when they leave, there's never an explanation. There's never any, oh my gosh, why? Why couldn't we just talk about it? Why couldn't we just, you know, what went down that was so wrong? What went down that was so wrong? Understand, they have no empathy. They do not care about what they did to you. They don't care about what they're gonna do after they see you. Once they leave your presence, you don't exist anymore. They are on to the next fuel source. They are on to sabotage another person. They are on to put on another mask. They are on to play these games. If you're waiting for a Hoover, if you're hurt, it's because you are a human being with empathy. You are a human being who's not superficial. You're a human being who doesn't understand how another human can do the same, this behavior to you. They don't have empathy. If you can grasp this simple statement, you will be free. If a rapist can rape, if a murderer can murder, the narcissist is the same. If they discard you, if they leave you high and dry, if they have your entire family going against you, if they take your kids away from you, it's the same as murder and rape. What's the same? Not physical, but the same, no empathy. No empathy. They do not care. No care. Matter of fact, they do everything that they do in order to hurt you. If you are in the presence of a person who has no empathy and you're showing them emotion and you're showing them human language, they hate that. They hate you for being human because they can't be. They created the superficial facade, the robotic facade. Everything that I share about my personal life on this channel is not for you to have sympathy for me, is not for me to talk about my past and feel special. It's really for you to hear my experiences and learn from them, because I'm not attached to any of the crap that happened to me in the past. And I'm not attached to any of these people. And it's because there's a deep level of consciousness now, which you guys will get to in my newer videos coming up. I am fiending to talk to you guys about detaching from the material world, from your ego, from your past experiences, because they were all programs of the human condition. You are a conscious being inhabiting a body. That's all that's happening. If you're attached to materialistic things, people, outcomes, situations, people's personalities, people's ego, you know, I understand where that's coming from. A lot of people on my comment section say, oh, Batel, I don't agree with you on a lot of things. And I understand. How can your ego agree with consciousness? How can your conditioning and your programs agree with something other than itself? How can the ego drop itself completely and see the consciousness that you really are? It's scary. How can you accept that you're just an energy in physical flesh? How can you accept that this is the spirit world in the 3D? How can you accept that you really live in a matrix simulation? It's scary. The reality of what you really are in, oof, is scary. But we'll get there, and we'll get there together. This channel is not only about narcissism or self-love. We are discussing all topics at the exact same time until your ego breaks down. Breaks down and allow yourself to live in the present moment and see how nobody else can, because everybody else is living in the human condition. Attaching themselves to materialistic things, to time, to people, to outcomes, to relationships, to the story. But when there's a major fall, ego death, you understand that you're spirit. And everybody else is too, but they all behave in the flesh. I need to be hoovered. I want to be in a relationship with someone who I can spend my entire life with and travel the world. Oh, we all have family, Batel. What are you talking about? Right? And it's not to shame or nothing. But if we're all human beings, quote unquote, in flesh, and we're spirits, inhibiting what? Ego, personality, past experiences, illusionary based things that we had to learn in school, fake religions, what the TV and the news says, what your parents taught you. Oh, you shouldn't do this because this will happen. And the tooth fairy and Santa and whatever. Don't do this at night. Something bad's going to happen. You know, all this bullshit. You grow up with all that crap. And you completely forget that you're, you know, and everyone's like that. So when people say, oh, but we all have family. It's like, no, you don't. They are also a spirit going through their own thing here in this 3D realm. You just so happen to come out of their physical body. But you both do not belong to each other at all. And I know we kind of came off topic here because this was specifically for narcissism. But you guys, there's no but. Let me rephrase that. This channel is for you to evolve on such a maximum high level, like ridiculous. It's so ridiculous that you will sit one day with yourself. I promise you. And you will be like this. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I used to do this. Or I can't believe I was attached to this. Oh my gosh, I see now. That's how you're going to be. And then the only thing you're going to want to do is sit in stillness and not think ever again. You're just going to be in the present moment as the spirit. And you're gonna get to a point where you don't even want to be in a relationship. How could you want to be in a relationship with somebody who doesn't see life the way you do? Who doesn't experience internally life the way that you do? For every single narcissistic person that I've ever dated, I wish them all well. I wish them the very best in life, and I hope that they take care of the new generation that they put on this planet. Which, I don't even want to go there. But will they ever? We don't know that. And you have to let them go. Their journey is not yours. Their brain does not function like yours, and their physical robotic body does not either. The same thing goes with your family. Oh, how can my parents do this to me? Are they your parents? Are they? They are energy, and you are energy. They don't owe you nothing. They don't have to treat you good or bad. They treat you how they are. You are either a love or a burden. So when I say, no, you don't have family, and it's not because of what I've been through in childhood, no. It's because consciousness, you guys, consciousness. Nothing and no one belongs to you. Matter of fact, we are all one. So we are all each other. The only thing that separates us is ego. Period. Negative forces, illusions, superficiality, programs, belief systems, skin color, age. We are literally the same consciousness. Just take the ego out and you will understand. And it's not really understanding. It's what we already always been. So back to the whole family parents thing. Your parents don't owe you nothing. They're not your parents. They are energy sources with their own egoic programs in their body. And they cannot help the way that they behave. You can't help the way that you behave. Your mind talks in your head all the time, doesn't it? Your mind projects things onto people too, doesn't it? Your mind can't sit still in the present moment. Your mind is looking to be hoovered by a narcissist. Hey, there is so much inner work to do. You guys, I promise you, once you shed so much garbage from your life, including getting rid of materialistic things from childhood or last year even, the more you get rid of these things and the more you allow yourself to live in the now, the more it just, it's like this relief. You're not attached to things anymore. You're not holding on to a memory or an idea. Eventually, when we all physically get out of here, we don't really take anything with us. So you have to learn how to detach. Now, what I just said, when you finally get to this point, guys, you will see yourself in the mirror for the first time. And you will be like, holy moly's, I don't want to be with nobody. I don't want to sleep with nobody. I don't want to talk to nobody. This is amazing. This is me. And because you're there for you, you're gonna want to experience the present moment. You're gonna want to experience yourself in the present moment. Whether it's walking, going to the beach, getting into the car, even typing. You're gonna experience yourself typing. You're gonna experience yourself touching soil and planting plants. Incredible. You're going to experience yourself being the consciousness that you are, surrounded by people with egos, and you're going to be like, oh no, absolutely not. Keep going. There is nothing to talk about with people who still derive their sense of self with ego. There's absolutely nothing to talk about unless you need something in the 3D world, like getting your teeth done, going to the grocery store, leasing something, paying something. But besides that, there's nothing to talk about. So thank you so much for listening. Happy New Year. I sincerely hope that this long series made you wake up to more things today. My channel is literally for you to ascend, to become the true self. I started this channel 3 years ago when I was bugging out, talking on my first ego death video. The video was called This Is Ego, Let It Go, or something like that. And I was like sitting there. I made an entire sheet all by myself. It came from consciousness. I had to write it all down on paper quick. And I just put on the camera and I started talking. And I was so frustrated in that video. If you go back to that video, you will see I was so frustrated because it hit me like a ton of bricks who we are and who we're not. And I was so angry that we are not what we really are. And I was smoking a bowl, just like, I gotta stop smoking too, because that's the ego too. That's the false self too. And it's so funny. I love, I've grown so much from that video, but it all clicked 3 years ago. It was always there. But we all follow the governments and the laws and people's ridiculous opinions, you guys. It's conditioning and conditioning and conditioning to be a dumbass. So Start the new year, por favor. Detach from things and situations and people that don't serve you. Start focusing on yourself, as painful and as hard as it may seem now. It's scary to focus on the self. It's scary to want to evolve. It's scary to want to show up bigger than who you used to be in front of people that you know. But guys, eventually all the things that don't belong, it will all fall out on its own. Because the more you upgrade, the more your physical reality upgrades. And life will not let you stay the same. And now if you're physically in pain all the time, it means you're stagnant, you're stagnant, you're stagnant. Let it go. Move on. Your body is telling you it's time. That pain is physical symptoms of I'm done doing this all the time. I'm done. Hello. I want to feel, right? Relief. And this will keep happening. This will keep happening in life. We don't ever stay in one place. So instead of focusing on relationships or what your parents or your family did or didn't do, or man, how could they do this to me? Man, I understand the attachment. Hey, I understand completely the attachment, especially if you're still involved with family like that. But you can evolve. You don't have to completely let them go. You can just evolve and become the best version of yourself. And every time you're in their presence, if you have to be, you don't react. You don't respond the same way that you do. You don't get butthurt anymore. You don't expect them to be anything other than what they already are. Their brain is going to function the same way. And since you can't hear what's happening in their mind, you don't know their ego the way that they know their own ego. And they don't even know that it's ego. It's just talking in their head. I'll see you guys on the next mental health series.